I also think that there are potential risks associated with laws that are passed. All of the EOs, we can all agree, are incredibly broad. They don't bother to ever define a term. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a great example. Nobody knows what that means, and they don't know what it means. So I think there's lots of ways of coming up with fashioning wording that defines things more specifically under our laws. And I think that's certainly something that we can talk about. At the same time, they have made it clear, they being that the Trump administration, that they will retaliate, and they will threaten loss of funds, they will threaten lawsuits, and I'm not saying we should back down. I'm saying there's a balance that the legislature will want to think about when we make you make those considerations. How much retaliation can we afford financially? Where do we draw that line? And then how do we fashion or wordsmith the laws that you want to create? Does that make sense? Is somebody laughing behind me?
No. I think it makes sense, Attorney General, but I also think that because we are a state that respects the rule of law, that we should engage in crafting laws. And if those laws bring ire upon us, I think one thing I would say is that the state is already suffering and will suffer for many years to come because of the laws that the Congress has passed and this federal administration has enacted. So I also think we need to look at laws that will spell out the policy of the states, as well as will enable individual actors to make choices that are also lawful. So I guess one thing I would say is that, seeing House Bill 3954 from Oregon, and knowing that, we have this opportunity, we have special sessions and we have a regular session coming up, with the speed with which this federal administration acts at times, is there a commitment and a willingness to look at these laws? Because just as you guys have been successful, and I applaud you for being successful on getting some preliminary injunctions in place, I think the more supportive state laws that spell out what our values are will be important in the years and the actions ahead of us. Is this something that is worth engaging in?
Absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt. You always have my commitment to that. I will let the legislature make policy, and we will help you craft the law in a way that allows your policy to succeed. And at the same time, it's our job to make sure you're aware of the potential legal risks associated with whatever wording that you like. And you have had my commitment from day one, and it will continue until my last day to assist the legislature.
I really appreciate that, because I do think that in these times, it's actually have been the state attorney generals that have been putting up some effective roadblocks along with the courts. But, we have to keep moving forward and be more proactive, I think. When I saw this bill in Oregon, as we were looking at it and seeing what was happening on June 7th and June 14th, again, as you said, these executive orders are broad. We didn't actually know what the implication of these orders were, if there were actually going to be a Hawaii National Guard deployed to California. I think the more laws we have that can protect our people and spell out what our values are, that's going to be important for you folks moving forward in your litigation. And one of the reasons why I asked whether Duke versus Kahanamoku was U.S. Supreme Court law or state Supreme Court law, we actually do have state case law, state Supreme Court case law interpreting the Posse Comitatus Act. So we know in our state that state constitution can have stronger protections. And so we need to extend those protections to the extent we can. Of course, I understand preemption and supremacy clause. I get that. That might overrule us at some point. but at least within our boundaries, we can enact laws that are supposed to adhere to higher constitutional standards within our own state. So I really appreciate that you're willing to kind of work with us on this. I don't